Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another episode of Achieving Perfection. This is going to be for the top node in the Hunter Bonder event that came out with Ikoria. So for the top node, it's going to have two permanent supports, one for you, one for the opponent. Neither one really does a whole lot. So for yours, it's going to have when a non-human creature dies, your first creature gets +2/+2. Then draw a card. If that card is an equipment support, it gains half of its mana. And when a human creature enters the battlefield under your control, target opposing non-human creature gets -1/-1. For your opponent, they're going to have whenever a human creature enters the battlefield under their control, they get +2/+2. And when a non-human creature they control attacks, they gain 1 loyalty, and the first human card in their hand gains 2 mana. So just little things, they don't really do too much. Your objectives are going to be to win the fight, to summon 5 or more creatures that are artifacts or humans, and to kill 3 or more creatures during the fight. So for this video, I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently than usual. I'm going to go ahead and show the 2 decks that I would suggest along with why I am suggesting those. And then I'm going to go into just some cards that I would suggest you look for or ways that you should go about building a deck if you can't build either of the ones that I am suggesting. So for newer players, I would suggest like brand spanking new. Gideon Battleforged is going to actually be probably your best bet depending on what cards you have, especially if you can go with something like this here. So this is going to help you with the summon objective because you've got things like Reverent Hoplite, which will summon a bunch of human tokens. You've got Commanding Presence, that's going to be summoning a human token every single turn. And you've got something like War Oracle that's going to have lifelink and keep you in the match for a while. For achieving the destroy objective, you've got some pretty simple cards like this common right here, Final Payment. It's going to destroy a creature for only 5 mana. And you've got things like Gideon's Triumph, which is going to destroy a creature for only 9 mana. Furthermore, you've got some pretty nice gem conversion with Idyllic Grange. No, I don't want that, but thank you. We've got gem conversion with Idyllic Grange and with Castle Ardenvale. And also with this Castle Ardenvale, it's going to be able to produce human tokens. So that's going to help with all of that. Brawler's Plate is just another way of making sure that you kill your opponent's creatures. And Crush Contraband is going to be a way of getting rid of some of those pesky supports that your opponent might put into play. Really, any support destruction, though, will serve you just fine. I really like Court of Calling in this deck to ensure that we get as many Reverent Hoplites as possible. Just make sure that we complete that objective as quickly as possible. So this is what I'd go about for newer players. Now for people who have more stuff at their disposal, and even if you can't make exactly this deck, if you can make something similar to this, then basically if you have the core pieces, then this is absolutely what I'd go with. So I'm using Teferi. I've been perfect with it so far. And I'm running 3 converters with Castle Vantress, Midnight Clock, and Mystic Sanctuary. I like the blue ones because Vantress and the Clock are going to draw me cards, and Mystic Sanctuary is going to get me spells back. And the most important spell to have for this particular node is Turn to Frog, because Turn to Frog is going to be an Origins rare, so ideally a lot of us have this card, and it's going to destroy a creature and replace it with a 1/1 blue frog token, which can then be destroyed again. And also because I'm using Teferi, I can use my first ability with Teferi, this Spiraling Time, to bounce that frog token, which just kills it outright. So if my opponent plays a creature, I can turn it to frog and kill it. Also, because this node says kill 3 or more creatures, you can kill your own creatures if you need. So if you're advancing a little bit too quickly, you can turn your own creatures to frog and destroy them, and that counts too. Now, the next card that I think is an absolute staple for this event is Thopter's Spy Network, because as you can see down here, summon 5 or more artifacts or humans. Thopter's Spy Network is going to be summoning 4 artifacts every turn. Thopter tokens are artifacts, and so as we need to summon those 5 creatures, Thopter Spy Network is going to be summoning them, their tokens, so they count as summons. So that's going to be really nifty for that. Furthermore, Thopter Spy Network is going to enable you to draw extra cards per turn, which is really useful, and synergizes really well with Teferi's 3rd ability. Now, if you have Thopter Spy and turn to frog, that's great. I would use a white-blue and a white-blue planeswalker, then that's what I would use, and just build around that. Now, I happen to really also like Cavalier of Dawn. If you have this card is amazing for the node for a few reasons. One, it is going to, when it enters the battlefield, it's going to destroy a creature. And then it's going to replace that with a token, just like with Turn to Frog. However, this colorless golem token is an artifact, and even though it puts it into play under your opponent's side, it counts as you summoning the token. So this is actually going to count toward that summon 5 or more artifacts or humans. So even just like one turn of Thopter Spy Network and Cavalier of Dawn, boom, your objective is done. So I happen to really like that. And then this creature also has Defender, which means that then when the golem goes and attacks you on your opponent's next turn, the golem's going to die. So just like Turn to Frog, this is going to be able to destroy 2 creatures for 1 card, and I always love 2-for-1s. That's fantastic. Now I'm running Urza because Urza creates all the blue gems in the world, so this is even more blue conversion, which is beautiful, and Urza is also a human. And then I've got Finale of Revelation to boost my blue mana bonus and to draw cards and give them mana. So this is like running Blue Sun Zenith Light here with all of our gem converters. We've got 4 things that are going to be converting gems to blue. This deck is really, really easy to play. We've got Consecrate for additional creature removal and for some life gain. And then just in the event that we boost a little bit too quickly, I've got Planar Cleansing in here to destroy all creatures, vanguards, and non-land supports. So if you boost yourself up too quickly, you can always drop a Planar Cleansing and reset the board. Or if you're up against an opponent who pulls out like a super crazy board state, like they get some crazy cascades, maybe you accidentally match the permanent support at the time of my making this video that is bugged, you give them a ton of mana, and so you need to be able to wipe the slate, and that's what Planar Cleansing is here for. I always run board wipe when I can in Coalition events just to make sure I never lose. So this deck is very well rounded. If you run this, you play it like even halfway decently, unless you encounter a crash, and I can't guarantee anything about that. You will come out ahead and you'll come out perfect. So this is definitely the deck that I would suggest, and I would suggest it with Teferi. Now, another option that you could do other than Teferi, I don't actually have this Dovin just because I don't see it as really being worth the crystals for me, but if you have Dovin Grand Arbiter, Dovin Grand Arbiter's first ability at level 60 is going to make 4 Thopter tokens. So you can actually run the same deck that I'm running with Teferi with this Dovin, and then just make Thopter tokens using crafty designs, and that'll work out for you pretty well too. Saheeli is also able to make 4 Thopter tokens a turn, but I don't really see her as being as good as the white-blue options because I like using Cavalier of Dawn in my deck. So just basic thoughts. Now, how should you go about building for this event, right? So we're allowed to use all of our standard cards right now. And the first thing you're going to want to look up is human token, right? If you don't have the Thopters, then you're going to want to go humans. So the Thopter tokens are pretty easy to go by. So we've got Thopter Spy Network, which is going to make 4 a turn. But there's also this Foundry of the Consuls from Origins. It's an uncommon, and it's going to make 4 Thopters for 10 mana. So this is really good for achieving that objective, and it can be used in any color deck. So if you have a more limited collection, Foundry of the Consuls is going to be a really good card for you. If you have Hangerback Walker, you can use this. I don't personally like it for this node because if it dies, it comes back with 8 Thopter tokens, and as you might be trying to get rid of your own dude because, I mean, 8/8 and it makes more every time you match gems, you might wind up winning too quickly if you get an early Hangerback Walker down. Now, the human tokens, we actually have a lot of things that make human tokens in the game. So you're going to want to type in human token, and you're going to want to be a little bit careful just because there's a whole bunch of things that are going to make tokens, but they're not human tokens. So for example, Precinct Captain is a human that makes tokens, but those are not human tokens. Those are soldier tokens. So make sure that when you type in human token, that the card that you're putting in your deck actually makes human tokens. Now, Elspeth Sun's Champion is kind of like the next best option to Thopter Spy Network because it's going to be making human tokens every single turn, but it also has this added bonus of being able to wipe the board of anything that's not yours, especially if you're running like Elspeth plus Urza plus like one other thing. Yeah, Urza has base power 4, so it's going to get rid of ideally your opponent's stuff. I would not run Harmonious Archon for a very similar reason. There's my little one. I wouldn't run Harmonious Archon for a very similar reason to Hangerback Walker, just you might kill your opponent too quickly. This is going to be 17 power for 20 mana, which is definitely a no-go. So not that, but we've already seen Reverent Hoplite, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some of the cards that I have not shown yet, right? Worthy Knight is actually a worthy choice because every time you cast a Knight card, you're going to get 2 tokens, and the Knight himself counts as a human, and the Knight himself, when cast, is going to make 2 tokens. So just casting the Knight here is going to put 3 human tokens onto the battlefield. If you've got Lovestruck Beast, for the 6 mana, it can make 3 human tokens, which is really nice. That's actually going to help you achieve that objective pretty quickly. And then the last card that I wanted to point out is Rally for the Throne. This is a common from Eldraine, and it's going to make 3 human tokens. It's not a great card, but for this objective, if you don't have a lot at your disposal, this will definitely work for you. Now, for the second part of the objective, destroy, what you're going to want to do is just go ahead, type in destroy, and then creature, right? So this is going to help get rid of all like the artifact stuff. Type in destroy creature, go through what you have. Make sure that you have some things, personally, my own preference, right, is that can destroy your stuff or your opponent's stuff, with the exception of Consecrate because it gets around hexproof and gives you life. But go through your destruction cards. I really like things like I mentioned, like Final Payment, just because it's really easy to cast. Even if you're using Origins Walkers, an Origins colored Walker match will do that for you. So both Liliana and Gideon will be able to cast this, although I would not suggest using Liliana for this. And then there's just a lot of other things that you can go through and make sure that you have stuff. But definitely, best choice is going to be Turn to Frog for that destruction. So I hope this helps you out. I hope you're able to go perfect in this event, and I'll see you guys in the next one.